At the close of today's hearing in a federal court in Michigan, where Trump attorneys, pro-Trump attorneys who brought one of the post-election lawsuits, are facing potential sanctions from a federal judge for their involvement in that case, a lawyer for the city of Detroit made this as part of his closing argument. He said, "Our motion for sanctions was filed on January 5th. One day before the insurrection. We argued as part of our brief, quote, by undermining people's faith in the democratic process and their trust in our government, this lawsuit is being used to delegitimize the presidency of Joe Biden." They argued that in their motion for sanctions January 5th. David Fink said, quote, "One day later, that sad prophecy came true. To a great extent because of the lies told in this lawsuit, millions of Americans came to believe the big lie that Joe Biden is not the duly elected president of the United States. Because of those lies, people died on January 6th, and many in the world came to doubt the strength of our American democratic institutions." Fink continued, quote, "Nobody can undo what happened on January 6th, but this court can do something to let the world know that attorneys in this country are not free to use our courts to spread lies and to undermine our democracy. Today, we ask this court to issue the strongest possible sanctions against every one of these attorneys. The taxpayers should not have to bear the burden of the cost of this litigation, so these attorneys should pay the fees resulting from their abuse of the legal system. Secondly, these attorneys should be punished for their behavior. Third, a strong sanction would serve as a deterrent for other attorneys. And fourth, these attorneys should never again be allowed to appear in a court in our jurisdiction or, frankly, anywhere else. These attorneys have dishonored our profession. It is not enough to sanction them with monetary penalties. We ask this court to refer each of these attorneys to their respective state bar associations for appropriate discipline." Joining us now is David Fink. He is the attorney for the city of Detroit, representing them in this matter as these pro-Trump lawyers face potential sanction from the court. Mr. Fink, thank you for your time tonight. I know it's been a very long, very busy day.
Hopefully it's been a productive day.
Well, tell me about your aims here. Obviously, these lawyers did not succeed in what they ostensibly were trying to do, which was to get the state of Michigan to overthrow the election results, to proclaim their electors for Trump instead of Biden. The judge threw that out handily not long after they filed it. What made the city of Detroit decide that that wasn't enough, that they should face sanctions for bringing the suit in the first place?
Well, if this case had actually stopped on December 7th, maybe we wouldn't have come for sanctions. But it isn't quite accurate to say that these lawyers didn't get what they were trying to get or accomplish what they were trying to accomplish. Any lawyer looking at the facts and law in this case would have to come away understanding that there was no way they were going to win the case. It was not possible from the beginning. So it served a different purpose. And what was that purpose? And it appears pretty strongly that the purpose was something they've accomplished. One, of course, they wanted to raise money, which they did. But two, and much more importantly, they wanted to undermine Joe Biden's presidency. They wanted to undermine faith in our democracy. And they succeeded at that. And if they're not held accountable, this will happen again. And that's what this is about. It's about accountability. And frankly, it's about stopping these lawyers from ever coming back to a courtroom to play these kind of very, very dangerous games.
There were two things that surprised me in today's proceeding. First of all, I was surprised by the length of the proceedings. Substantive, I'm looking forward to seeing the full transcript. It surprised me to see several of the lawyers representing the Trump campaign or representing Trump's interests try to distance themselves from their involvement in this and say, oh, that really wasn't me. I only did a little bit of work on that, or my name shouldn't have been on it in the first place. I wanted to know if that surprised you. I also wanted to know if it surprised you that one of the Trump lawyers seems to have broken the rules under which the court proceeding was held today when he broadcast a portion of it. He posted online a portion of it that had apparently been taken from somebody's Telegram channel. That was very much against the rules of how this proceeding was held.
I'd like to say I'm surprised by what Lin Wood did this evening when he broadcast in direct contradiction of the court's order. But I can't really be surprised because he has consistently flaunted the rules of our court. He has consistently failed to follow any of the rules in our court. He had never even got himself admitted. And now, today, he claims he had nothing to do with this lawsuit. On the other hand, When a Delaware court was considering rescinding his permission to continue to practice in that court, his lawyer bragged to the court in Delaware about his participation, Linwood's participation in the Michigan case. But everybody's running from it. The people who signed the pleadings say they're not responsible because they didn't draft the pleadings. The people who drafted the pleadings say they're not responsible because they didn't sign the pleadings. Somebody's responsible, and the answer is all 9 of them are, because every one of these attorneys used their bar card, the privilege to practice law, to tell lies, to spread lies, and to persuade millions of Americans of the big lie that Joe Biden wasn't duly elected. Of course he was. And everything in this lawsuit was nonsense, and they have to pay a price for it.